Right, good afternoon to you. Let's quickly catch up on all things sports, starting off with this. The SANI2C mountain biking race is an annual mountain biking stage race, and it once again will take over the southern reaches of KZN in the coming week. Veteran George de Beer has completed a record 17 SANI2 races, and he joins us now via Zoom to speak about this event and, of course, how it has shaped his life. George, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. I'm quite interested to know, a lot of people are professional riders. I mean, others do this for fun. I see you started back in 2005 and you would have been around either 50 or 51 years old at that time. So why did you opt to go ahead and start partaking in the SANI2C? And also, why do you keep going back all of these years?
Right. I actually started before that. The organizer of SANI2C, Glenn Hall, used to assist the school at Akopo, Linford. His kids were in that school, and he helped with raising funds for the school. And that's where I sort of met him, and that's where I started taking part in races. That was a couple of years prior to the SANI2C. And when this race came up, and I heard what they've done just to get it going in the beginning, it took me not a couple of months, 3 or 4 years to look at the route and decide what route to follow.
And over all of these years, George, I mean, you've been doing this for a very long time. What is your favorite section of the route?
I'm actually, that's a section I'm looking at now. Before they cut those trails on the cliff face there, if you stood at the bottom or had a look at that, you would think it would be impossible to come down there with a bike. It didn't happen the first year nor the second year. It took every year they improve on the race and the trails. The first race, the trails were like a footpath. Now they're more than a meter wide. But the best section is the drop down into the Unkomaas Valley. There was a lot of work put into that.
Now, I'm also looking at the lovely visuals on the screen that the viewers are looking at. And of course, there's a few dams and rivers there as well. So I'm quite interested to know, recently, KwaZulu-Natal has been affected by really, really bad floods. It was just horrific. The route that you guys take when it comes to SANI2C, has any part of it perhaps been affected by the flooding? I'm sure it has. What I've heard is, more of the rain was towards the coast, but there's in one section, I think, when you climb out of the Unkomaas Valley to get to the Akopo River Valley, there's a lot of bridges, the timber bridges, that I think 8 bridges over a stretch of 2 kilometers were washed away. Sure.
So it's definitely affected the race. And I can just think down further to the coast, there was a lot of damage on the route.
But obviously, when you guys go ahead next week, you are able to still continue, even though some of the route was affected by the floods, yes? And safely so?
Yes. Yes, Nicole. We're lucky, and that's where I had my ear on. There's a race 2 weeks prior to the SANI2C, the Joburg to see, and they use the last 3 days trails to get to Scottborough. And Glenn had to get 100 workers working full-time for 3 weeks to get the trails sorted out.
So talk to me about how some of the communities get involved. I understand that the communities along the route are quite involved in the event. I want to ask you 2 questions in one. I'm quite interested to know about their involvement and how exactly that works. And you have already mentioned in terms of the funding that goes to the schools. You mentioned that when Glenn started this, that was actually the initial reason of why this was started.
Yes, it was a follow-on from the school where his kids were in, but in the valley, there are schools there. It's very remote, and we see them every year. They're standing next to the trail, they're clapping hands, waving us on, and I know that a lot of money from the race are plowed back into the schools to help the schools. I'm sure now some of the schools must have had damages with the heavy rains, But the way I know Glenn, I'm sure he's going to get stuck in and help to sort out the problems at the schools. In the race, in the route that we do, which is over 260 kilometers over 3 days, there are about 23 schools in the area that is very closely associated with SANI2C.
George, tell me about how you prepare for this race. What is your prep like? What is your fitness regime like? I'm quite into fitness, and my news colleagues also here with us today, Tulasi's Wesimilane, he's an avid runner, so you know we love stuff like this. What do you do to prepare for a race like this to ensure that you're fit and active and that you can go ahead and cycle for such a long period of time and through different types of weather also?
Yes, Nicole, it's awesome. I retired three years ago, so I'm on pension now. I've got far more time, but in the past, yes, I didn't really get the mileage in that I would have liked to for the races, but I just grinded on, and like my brother said, you can get fit on the race. No, I start off in November or doing the races. I also do road races. I must say, I do road races, but on my mountain bike. So I start off and then just keep on doing races, doing the Argus every year, the Amashova, the Tour de Urban. But my most famous, the greatest race I enjoy is the SANI2C.
Very quickly before you go, please, George, we've already mentioned that you've been doing this for a very long period of time. So whilst COVID-19 has become the new normal, we're here, we're in it, we've got to live with it. But you know what it feels like to do the SANI2C prior to COVID and then during COVID when there are all of these restrictions. I mean, this is something that you're really passionate about. So how has COVID-19 affected your relationship with the SANI2C?
Yes, we had to... Glenn moved the date on to December. That was 2 years ago, last year, which meant you did the race in December, and the next race was in June, if I remember correctly, or back to normal. Yes, the numbers had to be brought right down, where we had 3 races, 3 days in a row. They had to, of 750 teams in a race, they had to cut back to 2 races where there's only 500 teams in a race. So it did affect the SANI2C big time now.
George, we're going to have to leave it there for now, but thank you so much for your time. And we wish you all the best for when you get going. I think it's next week, the 11th of May, and we will definitely catch up with you after you've concluded it. All the best for finishing the 18th. It's going to be the 18th one for George de Beer there. We'll definitely have more sport for you later. Tulas, we're going to go cycling.
It looks spectacular. It is tempting, but no.
But not your thing?
No, not for me.
So you understand now what I mean about the running. It's tempting, it's not my thing.
No.
Done, dusted. We're good on that one now.
You don't get out of that one that easily. But it's a stunning race from the visuals we're seeing
the
there. The
scenery, it's beautiful.
What's the route? SANI2C, I take it starts around, what is it, Sunny Stagger to
and
Durban.
it's about, I think it's over 280 kilometers, I stand to be corrected, but it's quite a long route,
Yeah.
It's quite a long route.
And those areas that George was mentioning there, where previously it looked like there's no way you can fit in a mountain bike and ride through it.
And it's completely changed.
Yeah.
It has completely changed. But it looks absolutely stunning as well. When I looked at all of those visuals there, it really is beautiful to see.
So it's a challenge for Gareth Edwards to see if he can take part in that while you prepare for Comrades now.
Gareth, if you're watching.
Nicole Kenter there, watching all things sport for you here on eNCA.